Hill. So when I went to a uni in Japan, actually, the head of the department said there were 70 of us. I went to a uni that taught languages. I went into a course where they taught English, and all professor said there are only 2 of you who deserve to be here on day 1. The rest of you want to reconsider. That was really funny. I think it's different these days, but
I suspect that is different.
Yeah.
Although I have heard stories about some universities having members of staff who say that.
Yeah. But I lived in Sugamo. Did you ever go to Sugamo, Ikebukuro? But you know where Sugamo is?
I think so. Where like
Sugamo is not too far from Hongo. It's directly above north on Yamamoto Line.
Yeah. I can't visualize it.
Yeah, but next time you should go there. It's one of the stations on Yamamoto Line, and it's famous for a temple. They called I don't know what to call it, but a small festival. Every date that ends with 4, so the 4th, 14th, and the 24th. It's very popular among elderly people.
Okay.
Now I am one of them, but back then I wasn't. So on those days, all grandmothers of Tokyo gather, and even I was ahead above everyone else because they were always more back then.
I think so. The Yamanote line, I'm most familiar with Harajuku, and then right to Tokyo Station.
Yeah, you're on the western side.
Yeah.
Did you go to Hongo or did you go to Komaba? When you worked with Tokyo University, did you?
At Kyo.
Okay, are you okay? Right.
And out in the southwest.
Right. Okay.
I was in the architecture school. I was in an architecture lab there, which was very interesting. The professor that invited me when he was showing me the lab, which is just like a room with lots and lots of desks in it, and he said there is always someone here, 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I had noticed that a lot of the desks had very big soft toys on them, like teddy bears, and he said the students, they just put their head down on the bear and take a nap at 2 in the morning, and then they can work some more.
Okay.
The first thing that Peter and I wrote about Japan was on mascots.
Mascotto.
マスコット、お守りみたいな。お守りではないですか。
People-kun? Do you know?
People-kun?
People-kun.
Yeah.
No. Is it like people-kun? Okay. People, like people. The siren of the police car.
A little bit like that, yes.
Okay, yeah.
So it's the police, Tokyo Metropolitan Park police mascot. Is a little, looks like a mouse but has an antenna.
People is the onomatopoeia for the siren.
Yeah. People.
Okay.
And also the mascot for the Saiban in Seido, which is like a duck, a green duck.
Yeah.
And then there's one, the crime prevention squad mascot was not a successful one. It was like a combination of a woman and a cat, but the proportions were wrong.
Charlie's laughing.
It didn't look cute, it just looked really predatory and sexual. It's sort of weird. But
How did you study those things?
We went to the police museum.
Yes.
We went to the police museum.
Right, okay. Did you interview the people who are actually designing them?
No, but there are things written about what makes a good mascot, and it's about the proportion of the size of the torso and the legs and the big head, big eyes, like manga characters.
And also just the history of particular media forms, the rise of media mix in Japan, and so blending of traditions of imagery in commercial marketing, and then in most of the legal or criminal justice institutions will have their own, so the Tokyo Prosecutor's Office will have its mascot.
Is it the same here or the?
No.
Why does Japan do that? Why did you study that aspect? Why Japan does it?
I mean, it's so I did a little bit of reading about what areas of life are mascots found in Japan. So in business, in like if you buy a CD player, the instruction booklet will have a mascot showing you how to do things. Cities and towns, like Kumamon.
Kumamon, I know Kumamon.
And public service announcements. Well, I can't remember what it's called, but there's an elephant who appears on convenience store doors, and it's to show that it's a place of safety if you're being followed. So it's used as a communicative device in lots of different contexts, and also as an emblem of an agency or a city or a business. So it's kind of got a personality, but it's also, its job is to communicate certain kinds of information. And it's, so in teaching, I sometimes tell the students about this, and many of them find it really like, it's such a foreign idea to them, but it's then really useful to show them pictures inside a courtroom or a police station in an Australian context or a British context, where we've got a coat of arms and we've got a judge wearing a costume and things like that. That's similar but different.
Your students are from very backgrounds, different countries. Probably. Do they respond differently?
Yeah, so the students who are from China or Hong Kong, they're very familiar with mascots. So they often sit there sort of quietly laughing when the Australian Anglo students are sitting like this. There's a duck that represents the jury.
A duck?
A giant duck.
A duck. Jury. Duck.
Friendly.
They're friendly.
And also because you ever see a duck without its ducklings?
I see.
So it's kind of very much a maternal, participatory model. And that was the major problem when they introduced the Saibanin system. Saibanin Seido. Is that they thought, no, the community didn't want to actually participate because they thought that's not our job. So the government and administration trying to actually persuade people to do it.
So that's a mascot for jury. Things I don't know about Japan. I learned in Marketer from someone.
Just ask.
From someone that came from Scotland. Australia is pretty good that way, right?
So here's another similar thing: is that with the one of the things with the audio-visual recording of confessions is that whatever country you're in, is how you display it whether you use split screens, etc., so you can get everybody in, or how you do that, and what perspective you use. And so I showed this, some of these different styles,
Yeah.
and then I said, but you can understand where this comes from. So it's not just a criminal justice technique.
Yeah.
It's also, if you have a look at Japanese news shows,
Yeah.
they use split screens and embed characters, embed other people who are not in the show, in the room, down in the corner.
Any TV shows now have, they're called swipes.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that has been there for a long, long time.
Yeah. They weren't there when I was in Japan in the late 80s. For drugs.
Drugs are bad. There's people.
Are they encouraging to say, hey, let's enjoy drugs?
Drugs are bad.
That looks like, hey, let's enjoy drugs.
Drugs.
Let's see rainbows.
So when I had students with my thing, who were from Japan, from Tokyo, no, not from Japan, who were from Japan, who had been to Japan, or were Chinese or Hong Kong, etc., Malaysia, and all of them were able to then take up this and grasp it and explain it as why it would be significant that you would be doing this, or how it is significant that it's being done. Well,
and we see life in everything, like, and we try to respect it, like even needles, like stitching needles, they have life. One day of the year there's a festival to honor lives of needles.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's called Harikuyo. I don't know much about it, but that once a year we get to see a little news coverage on that.
That's great.
But is that needle as in a kind of a leaf, or is it a stitching needle?
Stitching, normal stitching needle.
Good work, Charlie.
So I think that's reflected here too. Of course, Athena and Mythos, they have life. And every morning when I come in, I say good morning and I pass them. Before I leave, I do the same. And quite often I forget and I look up and then I remember, oh, I forgot, so I have to come in and do it. And when I'm a bit lazy or too tired to clean properly and skip some steps, I feel so guilty. But they say it's okay.
They say it's okay.
Thank
Thank
do it
goodness.
tomorrow.
So when you say, so you think there's a kind of a debate about Japan and animism, isn't it? Is that kind of the idea that not only are we animating, but the things, objects, nature, non-human things are animated, are animal, having an active force on us.
Yeah.
But that's also,
But
that's the theory.
Is that an element of Shinto?
I think so.
Everything has a goal.
But isn't that also capitalism?
Is it?
Yeah. What is a commodity other than an object that's been animated?
Right.
Oh no, I want really
Oh.
not.
Oh, it's
That
nice
wasn't
it's nice to response like that.
That wasn't a criticism.
But it's the value that's laminated onto goods in capitalism has got to be different from the idea of things being animated by spirit in Shinto.
Exactly, but they're both, the process is the same, but the values might be different.
That good luck charm, omamori, is from Meiji Jingu
Ah,
near
really?
Harajuku.
Ah,
Someone from Marakuta went to Tokyo just before I opened, so it's an elderly couple. They got that for me, and that's specifically so there are different good luck charms for different purposes, and
Yes.
that is for prosperity of a business.
very
But on the
good.
back, there's an instruction. It comes with an instruction manual, and it says, "This is only good for a year. At the end of the year, please make sure to bring this back. We will deal with it properly, and then we will issue a new one
A new
for
charm.
a fee."
Ah, very good.
Excellent.
So maybe capitalism there.
And there we go.
The last time we were all there together
Yeah.
in Tokyo, we went to a very big shrine in Roppongi,
Yeah.
and Charlie and I bought charms for different things. I think I bought one for health, and Charlie bought one for success in exams,
Oh,
which
okay.
I think did work. But I have them attached. I have one up on my desk
Yeah.
at home, and I have a couple attached to different bags. that I
Okay.
carry
Do they
with
have
me.
use by dates?
Of course they do.
I guess I didn't realize though.
But I didn't know till then. Yeah.
Better go back to
Yeah.
Japan.
Maybe there are new introductions used by dates.
I'm sure that they are. I'm sure that they're not part of the original.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Like indulgences
Yeah.
were sold
Yeah.
in the Catholic Church.
Oh,
Very similar.
right.
There's a corruption
Yeah.
of the religion by the church.
Yeah.
I'd better go back to Japan and get some more anyway, just in case.
Yes, well, always. Never need a reason to go back to Japan.
Right. What's your favorite food, or did you have one particular food or cafe venue that you always remember and want to go back and Yeah.
A place in Ebisu.
yeah.
Do you know that one? Sora no Niwa.
Sora
I don't know their name.
Sora no Niwa.
Sora no Niwa,
Yeah.
a garden in the
this?
sky.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Which-
What about-
the tofu place?
Ichi...
Oh yes.
Ichiran.
Ichiran.
Ichiran, the ramen place.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was one of the first ramen places we went to
Yeah.
in Tokyo.
I've never been, but they have like
Yeah, the-
sensory
Yeah.
boxes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
with the vending machines,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
you don't see anyone else.
And there's a screen.
It's
and,
just
yeah.
a pair of hands.
Yeah.
It's a very good experience.
Okay. Okay.
What?
The tofu place was, remember they made the tofu on the table for us? They had a little earthenware, a wooden box on a coal brazier that turned soy milk into fresh tofu in front of us.
And there was kind of on different levels, very wooden base design and flowing water
Yeah,
within the restaurant.
yeah.
What are the places where I can't remember?
So, espresso spider.
Oh. Thank you.
No special ingredient added. But,
Thank you.
What are the places?
Sorry, I have to taste.
I'm getting
Oh.
tired, so I'm losing names.
Yeah.
The names of the cafe, the
Wow.
restaurants where you go in and you'd have them on a stick,
Oh,
meat on a stick.
Robatayaki.
Yakiniku.
Robata
Yakitori.
yaki? No.
The yakitori.
Yakitori?
Mm.
Yeah. So when I've been in Japan on my own working,
Mm.
I've always quite liked those sitting around
Yeah.
at those places.
When I went to Kyoto, my colleague there likes to take me to some amazing restaurants.
Yeah.
And she took me and another Australian to a place where they brought a sashimi platter, and in the middle of it there was a little dish with something in it, and I said, "What is it?" And she said, "Don't know how to translate it," and our phones didn't have Wi-Fi, so we couldn't
Yeah.
look it up, and so I ate it, we all shared it, and I went home and I thought, oh, I'll just I remember the word, so I'm going to look it up. Now
Yeah.
I've got Wi-Fi. So it was Shinako.
Shinako?
Yes. So
Hard roll.
when I looked it
Yeah.
up, and it said the
Hard roll of fish.
well it said, what was it?
Cod,
It said the
maybe?
semen-filled seminal sacs of a giant cod, and I went.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I saw
Yeah.
my friend, and I
Yeah.
said, I looked it up,
Yeah.
and she went. So she knew exactly
Yeah.
like what my reaction would be, but I was glad I tried it. And then the next year when I went back,
Yeah.
on the menu it was deep fried.
Oh.
That was
Oh.
Shinako age.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a little bit like lamb's brain, isn't it?
She would not know what that tastes like.
yeah. And so the deep fried Shinako was
Was it crumb? Like panko? or-
batter, I think. Yeah. It was nice.
Yeah. So those little places, they may not be able to deal with you in English, maybe often.
Yeah.
But that's not a problem.
That's not
Right? Yeah.
Even places where before we knew any Japanese and where people can't speak any English, we can still manage.
Okay.
People at tables next door
Ah,
sometimes
is it
say, they speak to the waiter and they
Yeah.
say they need to try this.
Oh, right, okay.
They order for us and food arrives.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. That was also part of the yakitori places, because they're kind of in a horseshoe shape.
Yeah.
And there'd be a debate
Ah.
about what it is that I would eat sometimes.
Okay, they decide things. for
Yeah,
you.
not the first time.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
the first
yeah.
time, but when I came back the second
Yeah.
time.
Very
Same place,
nice.
because it was actually, I was living up above it.
Oh.
This is in place that holds the jazz festival. It's a
Asagaya.
Asagaya. Yeah.
And I was living upstairs. I came down the second time, and
Yeah.
then they would all be actually going, "Oh, you come back." They were saying something to me, and they had a few
Yeah.
words, not much. And then they would quite often, anybody who was sitting on that horseshoe would throw in English words to try and explain
Yeah.
things.
I guess alcohol helps people overcome Chinese.
Well, it does sometimes that.
Yeah.
You made a mistake with that one, did you?
Yeah, just the
No,
dimensions.
nothing's a mistake.
The legs are like, whew, all the way down. It's in a ditch. Or pretend that there's a ditch there and it's trying to climb out.
It's magical.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a story
What
to it.
kind of animal is it?
It's a fox.
If you can't tell, then that's a problem.
It's a fox. I bet you it comes from
It's a magical fox.
Chapel Street.
So I do bears, and bunnies recognizable because of the ears, but bears, even when they look like a good pet, often people say, it's a pig or it's a dog. So I don't say it's whatever they think it is.
Yes, I think it's good to say to people, what do you think it is?
Yeah.
It's like,
And I say it's whatever that you think it is.
I can see bear and pig, but I can't see bear and dog.
But dog owners tend to say, "Oh, it's just like my dog."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because their dog looks like a bear.
Oh, really?
Dogs and bears are very similar.
Are they?
Yeah.
Outline wise, yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
Like there was the first day we came here this trip, there was a dog that was one of the people in the queue had a dog on their leash,
Yeah.
and I was like, that dog looks like a bear. It's literally like a cub. It's got like the curved
Little
ears
round
and
ears.
it's the little snout and everything.
Yeah.
I was like, it was brown. It could have been a bear.
Okay.
These are amazing.
These spider.
I call it spider because I sell spider
Right.
or cordial.
Ah, right. Okay, so this is the
But
spider
would
coffee.
you call it coffee float or spider?
I guess.
Yeah.
I've never had anything like it. It's
But in
delicious.
Japan we have something like this.
Ah.
It's spider.
summer
Yeah.
coffee
yeah,
drink.
Yeah.
I
You've
quite
done
like
almost a whole
iced
lot.
Yeah,
coffee.
that's a sleeve is 50. Well done. Thank you. That's 50 closer to now. Amended target of 5,000. My target was initially 10, but coffee got amended to 5,000.
5,000. And when do you need the 5,000?
I'm almost there. So, but before Boxing Day, so I'll get there.
You will?
I'm almost there. I think I've got 4 in there.
Oh, right.
So, yeah.
So how long does it take you to mass produce them?
Mass produce.
Not the artisan or
Yeah.
that we're seeing at the moment,
no.
but the mass production.
No, as
version.
much or more details go into my cups, but I'm just faster. That's one aspect of being an artisan, right?
Yes.
Those craftspeople, they're just fast.
Mhm.
But no, I don't vary. I vary the letters, and I vary the characters, the cardinal characters. I have maybe 25 repetitions, and in that set, maybe there are 20 are the same, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 different ones, but they're always the same. 25 repetitions. But these are special. So I mix them in. Maybe I'll have them set aside and I'll put them 3 or 4 for each day.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
So there'll be some people who will get us.
Yeah. And I hope those people are the ones that pay attention, because, yeah, but it's okay.
I think you could put a sign up.
But do you know the story, an episode about how John and Yoko met?
No.
So Yoko was an installation artist.
This is the famous John.
Yeah. And unlike some perception outside Japan, Yoko wasn't after his money. Yoko comes from a very affluent family.
Yeah.
So she had money. And she was an artist in Hong Kong.
Yeah, she was a successful.
Yeah, successful artist.
Fluxus movement.
I don't know the details, but yeah. But once she was part of an exhibition, and her piece, one of her pieces at least, was that involved stepbrother. John went after stepbrothers, and there was something written on the ceiling, but it was too far. But there was like a magnifier hanging, I think, and through that he could see yes, the word yes written in tiny letters, in not capital but lower cases.
Right.
And he loved that idea.
Yeah.
So my point is, sometimes not pushing a message, but just waiting to be found
Yes.
can be actually more impactful.
Yes.
So I don't want to
Okay.
tell people, yeah, there are messages on my cup, look.
Yeah.
I was thinking more about
Yeah.
talking about the fact that there are some cups have
Yeah.
special messages,
Yeah.
and then if you bring it back,
Yeah.
we won't give you anything.
No. We give blessing yeah, on behalf of the God of Coffee.
Yes. But I do like the idea of
Yeah.
seeding things and
Yeah.
letting them be.
Yeah.
To use
Inviting
to use a
discoveries.
Beatles phrase.
And inviting people to discover things rather than giving them no chance of discovering things themselves and just presenting. And I think being offset from the main flow of the traffic, maybe 20 meters, 30 meters from the corner, does it to people as they walk and approach this kiosk. They gradually see more things because I'm up higher.
Yeah. So where does the word kiosk come from? That's the first time you've used it in relation to this place.
No, I've been using it.
Have you?
Yeah. And actually,
Okay.
a century
Yeah.
but
Yes.
someone wrote a piece about
About
that reminded me of
Kiosk.
Paul Bang.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah. Oh, wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Let's see whether I can do it again.